Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the Son of a podcast. Today's episode is going to be a really interesting episode, especially for what I'm recently doing in my life, where we're going to be talking about health in general, comparing my dad's health at 53 versus 19, and my dad's 19-year-old self versus me right now. So it's going to be talking a lot about health, as obviously, evidently, we're going to be talking about. And we're also going to see how my dad's view on health changed throughout his life. So I think it's going to be really interesting, really good episode. And as always, I'm joined with my dad.
Yo, what's up? I am
no
longer...
I'm your father.
No, man, that's getting old.
I really like
Anyway, I am your father.
There we go. And yeah, is there anything you want to say before we crack on?
Nothing. Just make sure that all 5 of you that are watching this or that will be watching this, we are not experts in health or nutrition by any means. So please do not take any kind of thing, any advice that we say or anything we say as advice, in fact. However, if you know about this and you can teach us a little bit, please, by all means, leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah, and if we say something and you're like, dude, this guy's full of shit, just, correct us in the comments. Because especially for me, if I'm doing something wrong, then I want to know. And if I'm doing something that's full of shit, then I want to know, because then I can change it and do it right. So, yeah, let's get on with it. So first of all, I want to kind of know where you're at health-wise right now. What do you do towards or for your health at 53?
Right. So where I'm at right now is, I think I am your typical 53, almost 54. I'll be 54 in a month. So let's just call myself, just call the shots as they are. 54. I'm pretty much where any other 54-year-old guy is. Health-wise, I don't feel particularly healthy. I have to be honest.
Okay.
I don't feel on top of the world because I have a very, very stressful and very active life. And although I do try to take care of myself, I can't say that I am the best at it. There's a lot of people that are much healthier than I am at my age. I think, anyway. I don't know. I don't know that many people my age. Or I don't hang around with people my age. So I couldn't really say. I do try to take care of myself. I try to exercise every day, and nutrition wise, I admit I could do better, much better. So I'm not super unhealthy, but I'm not super healthy either. Put it that way.
Okay.
Middle of the ground. I'm average.
So right now your life isn't focused around I don't want to say it's not focused around your health, because to a degree it is, but it's not your purpose in life, I should say, I guess.
It's not. However, I'll be lying if I didn't say it was always on my mind. It is true. Once you cross the threshold of the 50-year-old, right, the 50-year-old mark, it is true that your body changes. And it's always in the back of your mind, no matter what. 24 hours a day, there's things that you feel that you didn't feel before, little creaks and cracks that you feel now that you didn't feel before, that don't seem to be getting better, or rather they seem to be getting worse. And there's always that little bit of something in the back of your mind. Should I be doing something about it, or should I be eating more? Should I be eating less? Will this go away if I do this, do that? It's always something. It didn't used to be like that. But at the same time, I can say that no, I don't make health and fitness the forefront of my life. Or as much as I should do, for sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like that's quite normal at your age, especially because you have a lot of responsibilities. You have work life. You also want to be home, and frankly, you just want to chill when you get home after a stressful day. You don't really want to go to the gym and be counting your calories and stuff,
Yeah.
Which for me, at my age, I can do that because my life isn't that stressful, and it's quite, I don't want to say stagnant, but it's, I don't really do much. I just go to class, come back, go to the gym, come back, do work.
Right, so you basically have time to do that.
Yeah, I have a lot of time, and I have a lot of time to think about it as well. There's nothing else that I really have to do.
Yeah. Well, I want to make something clear. I want to make sure to clear that area, because it's not a matter of not having time. You can always make time for exercise. In fact, I do, because we exercise every morning. It's a matter of prioritizing it. That. I think that's what the key is. I've always done exercise. I've always been try to keep fit in my life. As you know from previous podcasts, my life at Centerview School, my life when I was a student at school, revolved around basketball. And I've always been playing basketball. It is true that there came a point where basketball was a little bit too risky for the stiff bones, right? And then I stopped doing it. But I've always tried to keep fit. It's the healthiness that's the issue. It's not so much the cardio, so to speak. It's the healthiness. So my life has been a real roller coaster of fitness and lack thereof, really.
Well, you say it's not about the cardio, but you go every morning before work. You go for a half an hour, 1 hour.
Yeah.
Between there, run, don't you?
Yes, I have a pretty strict daily routine. Yeah.
So it is also about the cardio in a sense.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but that's something I don't really. I don't feel good if I don't do cardio, even though I don't look good now. I mean, I don't, I have my little pot belly and I'm overweight. So that's what I mean. My life is a little roller coaster. I might have the cardio bit going, but the actual health bit isn't what it should be. I have to admit it.
Yeah. Which, is fair enough. If that's not your priority right now, then that's fair enough, Now, I want to go back now that we've gotten the 53-year-old out the way. Because we've said that you do exercise every day, but you don't count your calories or your meals. You don't really prioritize it right now, so you don't do it. What about when you were 19, when you were my age? We said at that age you were in Madrid at 19?
Yeah, when I was 19, for a while I was still here on the coast. So I graduated and it took like 6-7 months until I went to Madrid.
Okay.
And during that time I didn't do much because I was the only one here. Yeah. I graduated, all my friends left, all the people I played basketball had actually left the year before because they were older than me. Fredo, Chindo, Nikki and all those guys. So I didn't really do much. However, at 19, I have to admit, health and fitness was not at all in my mind. At all.
Yeah.
Not the slightest little bit. And it wasn't, as far as I remember, it wasn't even a trend like it is now.
Yeah.
To be healthy and to be fit.
Fair enough. That actually was going to be one of my questions was, well, I'll go into it now, but when do you feel like, because you have mentioned to me before that there was a moment in time where you were quite obsessed with health and fitness and you were counting your calories and stuff like that. Yeah. What age more or less was that at?
That was later. That was around, I would say I was maybe 21, 22, something like that.
21, 22. So you're already in England?
I was already in the UK, yeah.
In the UK? You were there by yourself, making your money, buying your own stuff. And what did that look like? Because obviously, for me, at my age, and especially at my time, it's really easy for me to just search up calories of whatever or whatever, But back then, how did you get into this whole world? How did you find out about calories? How did you find out about fitness and stuff like that?
Well, at that time, first of all, the reason I got into that was because I needed it. I was super overweight.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to get into the mental health area and of fitness and health and all that stuff. But at that time, I had just broken up with my girlfriend at the time, who I'd been with for 4 years, for almost, I don't know if it was 4 or even almost 5 years since I was in school. And it ended up being quite a toxic relationship in the sense of control. Although I thought I was happy, really what I was being was controlled by this person. I don't even know if she knew she was doing it. But one of the means of control was making me eat. Right. And before I knew it, I went from being my average, which had always been anywhere between 71, 72, 73 kilos. I ended up being something like almost 90 kilos. So I gained a lot of weight in those years, and I was feeling very uncomfortable with myself. And one of the first things I did as soon as I broke up with this girl was realize it. I hadn't actually even realized it myself. I suddenly woke up one day and thought, man, I feel horrible. I feel unhealthy. I feel overweight. I am always out of breath. And this was at 22 years old. And of course, I was a 22-year-old single man working in a student town. It was not a good place to. It was not a good place to be overweight.
Yeah.
So I decided to do something about it. I decided to go on a diet, and I did, and I eventually lost the weight I put on. The only issue with that was that I had no real. At first, anyway, I had no real concept of what that meant. I'd never actually thought of dieting, or I'd never thought of what healthy eating or a healthy lifestyle was. So basically what I did was just eat less, right? And that was easy enough to do because I was working very hard. I was working from 6 a.m. till maybe midnight or something like that. So it was easy not to fall into the temptation of eating. I'd also stopped working in the pizzeria. Right, the pizza restaurant was also one of the catalysts for my gaining weight. Right, having free pizza every day was never good. And they weren't healthy pizzas, right? They were deep pan pizzas, deep pan American pizzas loaded with cheese and calories. Because I wasn't there anymore, it was relatively easy. So in a relatively short period of time, I lost a lot of weight. Right, and the problem with that, of course, is that, just like I've always said, extremes aren't good. I started feeling the effects of that. I suddenly started feeling unhealthy because I was losing so much weight. I started feeling weak. I felt I had no stamina. I was working incredibly long hours and I was working 3 jobs, and I suddenly started feeling fatigued all the time. And I just didn't feel good at all. And I decided, I didn't really do much research. There was not much research to be done at those times. Again, we're going back to a pre-internet and a pre-Google times. I didn't know it didn't even cross my mind to go to the gym because I didn't have any money. I didn't know anybody that was, a fitness freak. So I had no point of contact or any reference or anybody to ask. So I just did it myself. I just started listening to my own body, starting to see what I felt, what I didn't feel. I started noticing my body was flabby because I'd lost so much weight in so little time. The extra skin didn't have anywhere to go. And I realized that what I was lacking was a little bit of was exercise, basically. Even though my life was incredibly active, I was running around, I was working in clubs, so I was running around all the time. I didn't have any muscle mass, any muscle at all in my body. And I realized that the reason I was feeling so weak was that my diet was really bad.
Yeah.
Right, I was barely eating anything at all, and I didn't really look at what I ate. So I can't remember how, but I did find some kind of literature regarding the thing. And I realized that, in my body, to build mass, you needed protein. I could see I was incredibly pale and incredibly, I didn't have any sun. I needed vitamins. So I started trying to supplement that. I didn't have any money for proper protein, right? Meat and chicken was very expensive at that time. Eggs were very expensive. So I did invest in a protein supplement. And the rest I tried to eat as some vegetables here and there, tuna, and whatever I could, but I didn't eat very much. I have to admit it. I wasn't terribly healthy, and that's been a trend that has been common for the rest of my life. And here's my first piece of unscientific advice that you should never follow, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Once you're overweight, and I'm not talking about 3 or 4 kilos overweight. I'm talking about once you surpass your ideal weight by like maybe 10, 15 kilos, your body remembers that for the rest of your life. And it wants to go back to that always. Right? So until I was 19, 20, my average weight, my normal weight was 72, 73 kilos. Once again, I reached the 85, 90 kilo threshold, my body always wants to go back to that. So if I diet or if I eat less, my body assumes that I'm starving and it goes into weight gain mode. For some reason, I'm not really sure how that works. I have no scientific backing for that. I have read that it is a common thing, but your body remembers that. So it's my piece of advice for anybody that's listening is that you should stick to your weight, right? Because once you reach that level, your body wants to stay at that level. And it's been a constant in my life. That's why since then I have always struggled with weight. It's always been a thing. And that's where we come into the mental health issues.
Yeah, definitely. And that's actually a very informative and very interesting monologue. I kind of guess where you kind of answered all of my questions that I had written down. So,
I'm sorry, man. You just get me talking. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I never talk. You get me talking, man.
Hey, I mean, it's great because you're going to answer it anyways.
Well, we can go more in depth if you want. I mean,
no.
To be honest, I've just very, very, very quickly summarized the beginnings of my weight loss and my struggle with health and weight.
So I want to go a bit in the future.
Yep.
And this is actually a question I'm very interested to know because I don't know if it changed your mentality a bit.
Right.
But how did becoming a parent change the way you see health? Because you see all the times in movies and in documentaries where people are like, I found a point where I was playing with my child and I was out of breath. So I was like, this is a moment where I have to change. And they flip they go from, from Mr. Slug to, Captain America. You know what I mean? So I want to know if that ever happened to you or if you were like, this is so unrealistic.
Yes, it is. I am a typical cliched father. I have to admit it did. Okay, one thing I haven't mentioned about my weight loss and my healthy lifestyle and my lack of healthy lifestyle, is that I used to be a smoker. My mom was a smoker, right. And I inherited her passion for smoking. Not only her passion for smoking, but her addiction, humongous addiction. I didn't smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. I didn't smoke 20 cigarettes a day. I smoked in excess of 30 cigarettes a day. So I was an incredibly heavy smoker. So that was never part of my health journey. I enjoyed smoking and I never actually wanted to quit. Although, of course, I felt the effects. But there's one curious thing, something I read only yesterday. There's a little quote I read somewhere, can't remember who, that said, you don't know that you're feeling bad until you start feeling good. Right? Yeah. That's one of those things. Smokers are like that. Smokers will always say, like, nah, I can smoke. I'm okay, perfectly fine. But then once you stop smoking and you feel the effects of not smoking, then you realize how bad you've been feeling as a smoker. So on the one hand, I used to be a really heavy smoker. On the second hand, when you were born, I was again plateauing into my weight gain journey. Right? I went from being a skinny, from a normal guy to being a chubby 85, 90 kilo guy to being a super skinny guy with no muscle mass to being Captain America when I was like 25, 26. I found a photograph the other day, which I'll put up here now, just to give you a point of reference. And then as I got older, again, my priorities changed. My healthy lifestyle was not a priority anymore. And I started, again, without really wanting to, without particularly eating much more, I started gaining weight again. A lot of weight, even more than before. So by the time you were, not by the time you were born, but by the time you were maybe 3-4 years old, I had surpassed my largest weight, and I was actually in excess of 100 kilos. Right? And it's something I had been on my mind, just like you say, a cliched father. When you were born, I was still a smoker. I was gaining weight. We were still on the youthful partying mode type thing. So I was going out quite a bit and working and taking care of you. That stopped pretty quick, let me tell you. But still, I knew that I wasn't healthy, and it was on my mind. I thought, what's going to happen when Gabe's 5 years old and he wants to play football? I'm not going to be able to play football. And it really was a thing because I was really overweight. So yes, it was on my mind, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure I reached the Captain America status that you just said, but I did. I did go on a diet. I quit smoking. I started dieting again, and eventually exercising, so that I was ready to play football with you whenever you wanted. As it turns out, you love football, but you don't like playing football. You didn't like playing football.
That's true.
So yes, I'm not really sure how much you remember of me back in those days. I'm curious to know.
Honestly, I don't really remember much of anything, you know? Most of the memories I get are when you show me photos, like the other day you sent photos of a trip in Tarifa. Yeah. And I remember the necklace that we had. Not the first one, the second one. The necklace that we had. I remember having that for years and years and me loving that necklace. But I don't remember what I do remember from that trip is the guy that we bought the necklaces from. I remember I liked that guy quite a bit. He was quite a nice guy. Yeah. Old man, if I remember.
Yeah, so you remember a fat dad or a fit dad or nothing at all? Not at all.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, it was. I mean, I'm very glad since then, as I say, weight gain has always been a huge issue with me since that very first stint. So I have this girlfriend to thank for that. But I'm glad that it was thanks to you. It really was thanks to you that I decided to stay healthy. And since then, I've been, even though it's always a struggle, and right now I'm not doing great as far as that's concerned. I'm very glad that I did it because it is necessary. There comes a point after 40, you start feeling it, and slowly you start feeling that your body isn't the same, and it's nice to be healthy.
Yeah.
So anybody that's my age, anybody that is 40 right now and isn't keeping healthy, there's always an exercise. There's always something out there for everybody. You Definitely. Know, whether it be yoga or Pilates or gym or boxing or whatever. There's something out there for somebody, and you can do it.
Definitely.
It's worth it.
And I find it funny that the stigma of wanting to change your body for your child is true. I mean, it makes complete sense why it's true, but you always see it in the movies, and I find it quite funny.
It is true, and raising a child when you're at least back in the day when me and mom had you, we were raising you on our own. We didn't, your grandparents, mom's parents, did help out in the sense that after mom was working full time, I was working full time, so there was a space between me finishing work and mom starting her afternoon shift where they kept you for like maybe an hour or so, but that's the extent of their help. Yeah. So we're full-time working parents taking care of you, and that really does get physical. It pays a toll on your physical health. So you have to do it. You have to try to be healthy.
Definitely. Now, I wonder, do you have any questions for me? Because I feel like this is a type of thing where you have.
Well, I do because I can just vaguely remember me at your age. As I say, this little journey, I don't think I'd remember it if I hadn't gained so much weight.
Yeah.
But I do see you. I see that you go to the gym, and now you're watching your calories. You're having your protein. I'm wondering how you came across that so fast, because in my case, it took me a long time to realize that exercise and being healthy was two different beasts, right? You can go to the gym all you want, and you can have as many muscles as you want, and you can have your six pack, but it doesn't mean that you're actually healthy inside.
Yeah.
That comes with a good nutrition plan. And it took me years to figure that out. But you seem to have it already without us having told you. You seem to have it down pretty well.
Because obviously for you guys, it's this whole exercise and tracking my calories and everything is quite a new thing. But for me, it's been something that's going on in my head, and I've had in my head for quite a few years now, maybe 2-3 years. It is true that last year I could have done it and I didn't, because probably out of laziness, to be honest with you. Laziness and also lack of knowledge. But yeah, definitely it's I've been researching and kind of looking at the world of fitness and fitness influencers for the past, I want to say since I was 16, 17. So yeah, 2-3 years.
Right. So it stems from social media, yeah, from seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, it starts with, one of your friends going to the gym, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try the gym. And then once you get there, you're like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So you search up on YouTube. That's one huge advantage that I have over you at my age is I have internet, I have YouTube videos, I have TikTok, I have Instagram, I have fitness influencers, I have literally all the knowledge on my fingertips that I can, with just one search, I can get.
Yep.
So that's how and why I know how to do all this. I am not saying I'm an expert, just just putting that out there. But I have quite a pretty basic knowledge and a decent knowledge on everything that I'm doing so far. And it is definitely, yeah, what are you going to say?
Well, no, you continue, because I have another question. You finish what you're saying.
Well, I was going to say, and yeah, that's where it started 2-3 years ago. Because I've always been a bit of well, when I was younger, I was quite a thin kid. I was quite, well, I wasn't thin, but I was quite normal, I was quite, I used to run, I wouldn't stop running around, so basically anything that I ate, I consumed instant, like my body consumed the energy and used the energy, because I wouldn't stop and I wouldn't sit down. But then I think probably once I got 10, 11, 12, I got a bit more stagnant. I continued eating the same, but not doing as much exercise, so I gained weight. And I've been a bit of a chubby kid ever since. And
no, you haven't.
I've been a bit, okay, I had a bit of a, I did go down in weight when I started doing my futsal.
Well, what happened was that what happens to a lot of teenagers, and I can tell you that working in a school, it's a very common thing, is that you do plump up because you need it. Eventually you're going to grow, and you're going to grow very, very quick, and your hormones are going to kick in. And just before that happens, you normally plump up a little bit, and then you go, which is exactly what happened to you. But I have, for instance, myself as your father, I have seen in the last year and a half that you do tend to, I think you might have my genes or something, and you tend to gain a little bit of weight if you, the moment you stop playing football, you did gain a little bit of weight, and now you've lost it again. Now you're looking great.
Well, that's not, I don't think that's just because of your genes. That's just because I was just eating, I was eating an immense amount of food.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever was put in front of me, I ate it.
You can chug it down, man. Oof.
Yeah, I can eat a lot. But, that's a blessing and a curse, I guess. Because a blessing because I can eat a lot and enjoy a lot, but a curse because that energy goes somewhere. And once I stopped playing football and futsal, I continued eating the same amount, probably eating a bit more, especially in the last couple of years. And I gained weight. And I think this summer, I was like, you know what, let me see how much I weigh, because I hadn't weighed myself in a while. And I was like, I feel like I'm quite heavy. And I saw I was like 102, 103. And I was like, oof.
Yeah, but how tall are you?
I'm 185, 184 and a half.
Right, so you're a tall dude. So 105 kilos for a 185. One that's 1 meter 85 isn't super overweight. I mean, you gained a little bit of weight, but you weren't humongous.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I'm like super ripped, So it's not like I can say it's all muscle, And I did have quite a bit of a belly. So I was like, you know what? When I move back to Ireland, I'm going to take things seriously, because it's a lot easier to do it when you're buying everything, and when you open the cupboard and all that's there is
when you're
apples and raw chicken. So you're like, I can't really have anything,
Yeah, being on a budget always helps with your diet for sure.
Definitely. Well,
So
budget and also just doing it all myself.
yeah. Well, that's one of my questions was what is your motivation? What is the aim that do you have a target? Or, well, first of all, two things. What is your motivation, and what is your target within that motivation?
I think my motivation is just to get to a point where I'm happy with not my weight, because it's not necessarily my weight, but the way that I look.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet. I'm on my way. I definitely feel a lot better and a lot more confident than when I started.
Right.
So I feel like that's my motivation and my goal at the same time.
Right. So, but what is your goal exactly? To be ripped, six pack, muscly guy, or to be thin and lean like a runner?
Right now, I'm tending towards the more muscly. I don't want to be a bodybuilder because I think that's too much, and I don't want to be necessarily in the stage of having a six pack all year round, because from what I've learned, that requires quite a bit of dieting all year round, and frankly, I don't like being on a diet right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it, but it's not. If I was just on maintenance the whole time, then I would prefer that a lot. But
yeah.
So yeah, I think right now my scale goal is 85 kilos.
Yeah.
How
much are you on now, if you don't mind me asking? Or if you want to share it with the world?
Today's quite a good day because I finally broke the 90 kg barrier.
All right.
So basically, when I got here, the first couple weeks, the first week, I did start the diet, but I couldn't do it properly because I didn't have a scale or a food scale.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know exactly how much weight I was, and I didn't know. I was doing rough estimates of doing, half a cup, and but that you can't do it properly like that. So, like I said, about a week later, I finally got all those, and the first time I weighed myself I was 98.8 kg.
Right.
And now I'm 89.6. I was this morning when I weighed myself.
Not
so, I've lost around 9 kilos, which is quite good we're in November, so about 2 months and a half.
9 kilos in 2 months and a half.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the ideal weight loss progression?
In what sense?
Well, how fast is it healthy to lose weight? At what rate?
The general conception, the general idea is between 0.5 and 1 kg is the safe and
0.5 and 1 kg. How long?
Per week.
Per week. Per week. Okay. Per week.
Is generally the safe and the ideal range. Right now, my calories are set, so I lose around a kilo. 0.9 kgs, a kilo a week. So I'm on the higher end, just because as I've said, well, first of all, I'm a bit impatient.
Yeah.
And also I want to be able to get to the point where I'm at maintenance faster. So
yeah. Well, my experience with that is that the faster you lose weight, the faster your body wants to go back to the old weight.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because I am incredibly impatient, impatient. And so when I go on diets, even now, even knowing the truth, I'm incapable of saying, okay, I'm going to lose, like right now, maybe I could lose easily. To start feeling okay with myself, I need to lose at least 5-6 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Right. At my age, the real thing to do is say, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I got to do it in 5 days.
Yeah.
And of course, the moment I do it in 5 days, the 6th day, I'm back to gaining those 5 kilos again. Practically.
Yeah, of course. But that's also one of my goals with this progress is not just to lose the weight and be like, well, that's it, let's go back. It's kind of I want to change my lifestyle to a healthier eating lifestyle. I'm not saying that I unhealthy when mom, because my mom makes all the meals, She makes incredibly healthy meals. But, it doesn't matter how healthy you are if you have 5 portions of a healthy meal. You know what I mean? It's going to
affect you.
It's going to affect me because, like they say, an excessive amount of anything, the extremes of anything is not good. And that's what I was doing when I lived with you guys. And that's why I want to get into the habit of just basically not having extremes,
Not eating too much, just eating just right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the way. So recapping, your goal is to reach an 85 kilo weight, but also gain enough mass to be muscular and to be somehow ripped, but not so ripped that you have to be constantly at the gym to be able to maintain that. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so to do that, what you're doing is your diet, as I know, you're eating basically broccoli and similars with rice and chicken all day long, right? Basically every day, that's what you eat. And do you drink coffee or anything like that, or?
So
tell us your. In fact,
I'll go through my whole day.
Stop right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a whole day routine for you, starting from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep.
Okay, so normally I wake up at around 8 or 9. It depends if it's the weekend or if it's the week. I'll give you a normal weekday. So I wake up at 8. I'll kind of see what time it is. Obviously, because sometimes I wake up, turn my alarm off, and go straight back to sleep. And if it's 8:45 and I have a class that starts at 9, I have to rush out the door. But most of the time, when my alarm goes off, I turn it off, I get up, I kind of wake up a bit. And before I do anything, I get the scale, I go to the toilet, I go to the bathroom, I do my shenanigans in the toilet, I weigh myself and see what weight I'm at. I'll log it, and then I'll wash my face, I'll moisturize my face as well, and I'll drink quite a bit of water because, when you wake up, most of the time you're very dehydrated. And a lot of people, when they say, I wake up and I'm absolutely starving, it's actually because they're just really dehydrated. So that's what I do. Normally I'll drink.
Sorry. You weigh yourself every day?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I weigh myself every day. No, well, yeah, okay. Anyways, I'll continue with this and then I'll talk about my weighing myself every day. I'll do that, then I'll go to the kitchen and I'll make my breakfast. Actually, recently I've changed my breakfast. Before, what I was having is chicken, rice and egg whites. For breakfast, for lunch, I was having chicken, rice and broccoli. Then I was having the same thing, chicken, rice and broccoli for dinner.
Wow, that's a lot of chicken, rice and broccoli.
Yeah. And as a snack, I was having skyr, which is like it's basically like Greek yogurt with apple and honey.
With what?
But what? Apple.
Oh, apple. I understood alcohol.
No.
I go, okay.
Yeah, just a quick shot of vodka in there. No. With apple and broccoli. No, honey, not broccoli.
Yogurt and broccoli. That's a new one. Who knows? Could be nice.
But recently what I've changed and I've moved my breakfast to lunch,
right?
My snack as a breakfast, and I have my lunch and my dinner in the same meal. So I wake up, I'll do everything that I mentioned.
So so it makes sense. So you have your yogurt in the morning, yeah?
Yeah, so I wake up, I'll do everything that I mentioned. I'll weigh myself, I'll go to the bathroom, I'll wash my face, I'll moisturize my face and everything. I'll come back, I'll get change into what I'll wear in the day, whatever, and then I'll go to the kitchen. I'll have the yogurt bowl, so the skyr bowl with apple and honey. I'll have that, and I'll also have a glass of water with 5 grams of creatine as well, which I bought yesterday, so that's a new thing for me.
Right, and what's that supposed to do?
Creatine, it's creatine monohydrate. It's basically a supplement, and
basically what? Sorry,
it's a supplement.
Oh,
And
supplement. Right.
the very, very basic and very like simplified idea is that it stores more muscle in your muscle mass. I can't speak today. Stores more water in the muscle mass. There we go.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
And what's the point of that?
Essentially, it makes your muscles look bigger.
Right.
But it also
right.
has more. It has more effects where it makes you more focused, and it can bring down your stress as well. Which I don't have stress right now, but especially seeing as I'm very focused on my studies, I want to be more focused during these times. So, like I said, that's a very, very simplified version of what it does.
Okay.
But it's not like it's steroids or anything like that. It's creatine is already naturally produced by your kidneys, so it's just giving you a booster. It's like kind of having vitamin supplements, which I also do. I also have those. I forgot. I have them right here. Vitamins. My mom got them for me when I went to Spain. And this is just kind of has everything. I'm pretty sure has quite a few vitamins. Has vitamin D. And that's my lunch. That's my breakfast. Sorry.
Right.
Then I'll go to class. Then I'll come back whenever I have time, and I'll have my lunch, which, as I mentioned before, was my breakfast. So it's chicken, egg whites, and rice.
Right. And that's boiled rice or fried rice, or is it a stir fry that you do all together?
Yeah, no. I just I boil my rice. I put my chicken in the pan without any oil, because most of the time I buy chicken thighs, which are quite a fatty piece of chicken. So once they'll have already quite a bit of fat from the chicken in the pan.
Skin or no skin?
I do boneless, obviously, because I'm not going to eat the bones. And I believe they are skinless. I'm pretty sure.
Good.
And
then
they're skinless. They're skinless. Yeah, they're skinless.
And I'm curious about the egg whites. How do you cook those?
The egg whites. Well, I just buy a bottle of egg whites that they sell in the supermarket. It's not. Right. I don't buy a pack of eggs and then I just chuck away the egg yolk, because that would be quite wasteful.
Yes.
So that's what I do for my lunch. And then I'll go back, I'll finish my classes, then I'll go study, then I'll go to the gym, and I'll come back. It'll probably be around 8, 9, 10, around there, depending on the day. And I'll have dinner, which is chicken again, broccoli, and rice again. The rice is boiled. I also boil the broccoli, which I buy frozen broccoli because it's cheaper and I can buy more for a lot less.
Well, they say it retains all the nutritional.
Yeah, and the nutritional value stays. It is slightly worse, but it's basically the same.
Right.
And then that's it. That'll be my day.
Okay.
And
yeah. No, continue. Continue.
I was just gonna say, the reason why I changed from the 3 meals and a snack was because I found late at night, I would have my dinner. I'm like, I would still be hungry.
Right.
But like, damn, I'm still hungry. You know. Obviously, I wouldn't have anything because I have nothing apart from everything that I just mentioned.
Right.
So I'll just go to bed hungry. And I was like, I wonder if I could change this. So what I shifted to doing was I started off having no breakfast at all and just having my breakfasts. So having the lunch, snack, and dinner. And I was like, but when I get to lunch, I'm just too hungry.
Yeah.
And what I found was I ended up not really having the snack very often. So I was like, what if I just have the snack as my breakfast instead?
Right.
So I did that, and for now it's working. I'm not getting too hungry during the day. I'm a little bit hungry at like maybe 5, 6, but
good.
That was when I used to have my big snacks when I was back at home. So I think that's the remnants of that.
It's your body, remember that. And all in all, if you pull all that together, are you counting your daily calories? Because I mean, obviously it's going to be exactly the same amount of calories. Or do you vary the amounts of chicken and rice that you have every day, or do you weigh everything every single time?
So every single day I weigh how much rice I have, how much chicken I have, broccoli, everything that I consume, I eat, and I track calories wise. So while I'm cooking, I'll just get the rice, I'll put it in a bowl, and I'll weigh however much I'm gonna have. The same as the chicken, I'll weigh it on a plate, I'll put the chicken on there, and the broccoli, the same thing.
And how many calories a day is that?
So right now, as I said, I consume around 1,800 calories a day.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm going for the more extreme side of the safe range. So I'm aiming for the 0.9 kilograms to 1 kg more or less a week. So it's quite a big deficit.
It is.
That I'm having, but I'm doing okay so far, and I'm not getting too tired of it.
Cool.
Obviously, if I wish I could have a McDonald's burger here and there, but it's fine. And
that's expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive.
And then how about your exercise regime? You go to the gym, and then you go to MMA, right? You just taking up. Is there a lot of cardio involved over there, or are you pretty much just doing weights?
So I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I do MMA 2 times a week. I go to the gym Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I do a push-pull legs split. If anyone that wants to know, that's what I do. Which is on Mondays I do pushing exercises. Wednesdays I do pulling exercises, and Fridays I do legs. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do MMA. So on Tuesdays, we'll do striking, which is punching and kicking and stuff like that. And on Thursdays, we'll do...
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm having lots of fun with MMA, honestly. And then on Thursdays, we do Jiu-Jitsu, which is like on the floor, kind of it's not wrestling, but it's the It's the grappling on the floor where, they're on the floor and they put their arms in weird positions and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you look like you're all having sex.
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
Kind of sex.
Exactly. So that's what I do. In the gym, most of the time I'll do my weight training session, and then afterwards I'll do a bit of walking and running. I have to say, recently I haven't been doing that. I have to get back into it. But apart from that, I try to get in 10,000 steps a day as well.
Do you believe in that myth, in the 10,000 steps a day myth type thing?
It's not a myth. It's very true.
Is it true? Yeah. Well, it depends. I find that it depends. You can do 10,000 steps a day, like in a row, like take off from your house and then do 10,000 steps, or you can do 10,000 steps a day in little bits by bits. I don't think it's exactly the same. You end up doing 10,000 steps for sure. But if you're sitting down, like I do, like I sit down in my office and then I work for an hour and then I have to go talk to somebody on the other side of the school, which is it's a big school. So it's almost, between going there and coming back, it's almost a kilometer, really. I don't really count that because I'm just walking over to somebody else, talking to them, coming back to yes, I do steps, but I hardly, I don't get back to my office out of breath. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing about getting the steps in is you don't. So it's basically around, I don't know exactly the number, but I'm going to say around 50% of your calories that you burn in a day is by something called NEAT. It's an acronym. I don't know what it is. I don't know the acronym right now. Off the top of my head, I would have.
Say it again.
NEAT. NEAT. I think.
NEAT. Well, we'll look it up and put it up here somewhere.
Yeah, and that's basically like the walking and all that stuff.
Right.
And that consumes the 50% of the total calories you burn in a day.
Right.
So even though you feel like you don't think it's working, or you feel like I'm just walking, it's not going to do much, it actually does do quite a bit for you. Which is why the myth, even though it's not a myth, of getting the 10,000 steps a day does.
All right. Well, this is very scientific. I just looked it up, and NEAT stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis. My lord.
Yeah, there we go.
It's the energy you burn from all physical activity that isn't structured exercise or sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Right now, I'm not saying it's not valid. It's perfectly valid. You're still moving your body. I just always kind of question it.
But what I feel like it's become a myth is because there are some people that say, just walk 10,000 steps a day and you'll drop weight like that.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not, even though it does help a lot, you obviously, to have a healthy and a balanced lifestyle, you have to be doing other exercise outside of just walking. Yeah. You know, whether that's running, whether that's whatever, sprinting, whatever, anything.
Yeah, I found that for weight loss and for general health, to be honest, cardio is the best. If you can do an activity that does both, like swimming, then absolutely great. I wouldn't go the triathlon or the Ironman way. That's a little bit too extreme for me. But in fact, I found that one of the times where I felt better and I think I've been fittest was when I tried to join you in your BMX adventure.
Yeah.
Terrible as I was at that, you can't. 45-year-old man BMXing is not a pretty sight by any means. But that was extremely hard for a guy my age anyway. Mm-hmm. Going down the bowls and dropping in and all that stuff. It was quite the challenge, and you used quite a bit of muscle in there. So I felt it was quite fitted during that time. During all that, I've always liked going to the gym, but I found that if I was on a diet and going to the gym, I didn't really, the gym didn't help me lose weight. It was the cardio in the gym. Like if you start, I've always done the opposite of you. I've always started with my running, and then done the weights, and that running bit is the one that helps. Even now. My routine is very different to yours, but it does include exercise, and normally is that walking or running.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I do weights is because obviously when my body fat percentage goes down, the way for me not to look flabby and stuff is for there to be something for the skin to get onto, which is the muscle. So if I'm increasing my muscle mass, obviously, I was explaining to one of my friends that seeing as I'm in a calorie deficit, it's obviously a lot slower than if I was in a calorie surplus or in maintenance. Yeah. The amount that I increase in muscle mass is a lot slower compared to if I was eating more.
Okay. And for your listeners' sakes, my final question to you is, where do you get your information from? And two questions. The first part is where you get your information from, and how do you know you're getting the correct information for somebody your age and in your physical state?
So most of the time, I get most of my information from a few fitness influencers. Right. So I started off, the very first person that I kind of watched was Sam Sulek, he's a bodybuilder. Okay. Who he kind of goes to the gym and he just shows you his workouts, and he's very good for like workouts. Kind of now the people that I'm watching the most there's two. It's Higher Up Fitness, I think he's called, and TNF. They're two that I really like watching, and the reason why I like them is when they say something, they back it up by research that has been done and by scientific proof. It's not, they just say it and they just say, trust me, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have actual data and scientific proof behind them, and they have a reason for saying it. So those two are two really good influencers that I watch and I like, and their tips have helped me. Right. And and there are others which I have forgotten their names right now. Okay. I feel like one is called CJ Spencer. I watch him he basically goes around and asks people what their cheat meals are and goes and eats them.
Oh, great.
And
that's exactly the opposite of what we're after.
Yeah, and I watch him quite a bit just because, like, it's like I can't eat it, so I watch you eating it to help me, you know?
Right.
Kind of thing.
Okay. If it works, it works. I'm not sure.
It's quite satisfying, actually. But anyways, yeah.
Okay. Well, I found that listening to your own body also helps a lot. You can't, of course, you can't always do that, because if I listen to my body every day, I'd be eating all day long. But no, what I mean by that is you always know if you're slightly too weak, if you're slightly out of breath, or if you look a little pale, or if you can't sleep properly. All those are signs that you're doing something wrong. And if you feel great, then you feel great. You know, there's no two ways about that.
I think that's trying to think if there's anything that I want to say that I haven't said, but I'm pretty sure we've said everything now. Unless is there anything else you want to say? You want to add?
No. I think we covered it all. I think we could maybe do another podcast just on your routine, not on your gym routine. Once you get more of an expertise on it, I would like to say to anybody that's listening, because this is what my history has been, to be careful on what you do and how you do it. It's very easy to mistreat your body in the just to be able to look good. And that's never a good way to do things. Listen to your body, be healthy, but don't go over extremes with anything. As usual, extremes are just never good.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know from people what they do and what they don't do. Everything that we've said, I'd like to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. I've never been an expert in this. I've always been interested because I have one big problem, and that's that I absolutely love eating. And like you said, your mom is an amazing cook, so I can't really say no to anything she cooks.
That's very true.
But I'd like to know what the realities of nutrition are. There's so many myths out there. There's so many misconceptions. There must be some truth hidden in there, and I really would like to know it. If somebody, one of the 5 people that listen to this know it, please let us know and write it down in the comments. Enlighten us so that we can go in the right path for once and for all. All right. Oh, and stop smoking. If you smoke, stop smoking.
So yeah, I think that's a very good way to close it off. Thank you all for watching. As we said, we're not experts by any means, so take everything we say with a grain of salt. And if you disagree with anything we've said, let us know in the comments. If you agree with anything, let us know. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and see you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Great to see you. Bye.